All right, welcome back, guys. Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I am recording live from the Northeast Oklahoma Coin Show in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you guys are going to be in town, we will be here at the Marriott Spring Hill Suites, is what it's called. So it's going to be a 3-day event starting today, Thursday, and then we have Friday and Saturday as well. So I figure because it's been long overdue, now that I have a full-fledged voice back, we're going to kind of take a look at a number of the fancy serial number notes that have sold here in the last day. Still very much an active market for fancy serial numbers, but you kind of really need to know which ones are selling the best. There's a lot of neat serial numbers out there, and a lot of folks are leveraging resources like mycurrencycollection.com and using the neat serial number, I guess index is what it's called, where it shoots out a percentage, and then it'll tell you, oh, this note is 95% neat or cool, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of people are using that, but sometimes that particular tool doesn't give us what we call kind of like the true market conditions for the notes. There are certain fancy serial numbers that sell for a lot more money at the top rung of the ladder. While some of these other notes that maybe a lot of people are leveraging that currency collection index, they're selling for one or two, a couple dollars, and then people are left wondering. And then I get these questions all the time. Well, my currency collection shows this note at a very high percentage. Why isn't it selling? And I'm not going to say that there's any such wrong way to collect into this. But you guys definitely need to know which ones are the more monetizable pieces in the market today. All right, so we have roughly 15 notes to talk about. We have one very egregious counterfeit that I also wanted to bring up. That'll be toward the end of this video. But again, another very active market. Everything you see here is from the last 24 hours. Starting out with this first note here, this is a $1 bill that features what we call in the hobby a binary, which is any two numbers. This is a non-traditional binary. True binaries are generally ones and zeros. So as you can see, this one has 6 ones and a pair of 9s. This one right here was actually a buy it now hit at $34.99. And this is also going to give you guys a little perspective on condition as well, and what people are willing to pay for the notes. As you can see, this particular one right here has seen a fair amount of usage in commerce today. Someone did save it from certain doom, because after a while, through just general circulation wear, these things get to a point where they're just way too beat up to be saved. Once they get back to the banks, usually those are going to be pulled from straps because they don't run through the counters very well, and then they'll get sent out for destruction. So someone did save this one, albeit it's not the best condition looking note. It's a 2013 series. It's somewhere around 11, 12 years old in age. And normally paper money, they don't have kind of that long durability test. Usually these things last on average 5 to 7 years before they become too far gone. All right, so buy it now hits. You guys gotta understand. This is a great way to sell these notes. As long as you're not too overly expensive compared to the market, you could price protect any note that you want to by simply selling it as a fixed list price, where people just go in, add it to their cart, and then check out. Please do also understand that your note may not sell for a few weeks, a few months, a year. It happens. But if you're seeing yourself holding on to this note that you have on eBay, and you're at month number 2 or 3, you might want to consider repricing the note, and just making sure that your particular note is in the annals of the top flight, the top tier fancy serial numbers that people are selling today. The next one that we have here is actually quite a neat one. Another buy it now listing. This one sold for $19.99. Please do understand that if you are selling anything under the numismatics categories, whether it's coins or paper money, and you have your fixed list price, your buy it now hit at under $20, and that includes $19.99, that you have the option of sending this out in a plain white envelope, which will only cost about $1 or maybe even a little less than that. You know, it's all gauged by the actual weight, and you could go up 2-3 ounces on the plain white envelope and still, you know, have that, take advantage of that very inexpensive rate. So in this case, that's what this person did. As you can see, their shipping cost to the customer is only 64 cents. That's a marvelous way of selling these as well. Put into perspective, if you say put this note up at $24.99, and then you have to charge the regular standard first class rate, where you have to put in a bubble mailer, you get a tracking number and things like that, you're going to end up spending about, on average, $4.80. So there's really no difference there. I think the big selling feature of the plain white envelope is that you get to sell your item for a little bit cheaper. Now, getting back to the piece of currency that we have here, you could call it trinary, whatever. It's not my favorite terminology, and it's not the favorite type of fancy serial number in the hobby today. But what we can deduce from this note as being attractive is you have 6 in a row sevens right in the middle of the note. Okay, and that's the big selling feature of this particular piece, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen, it is essentially a great magic trick where you can turn a $1 bill, turn it into a $20 bill, just by looking for things like this. So very well done, and the note is actually in pretty decent shape as well. The next one that we have here, we always got to throw in a high denom, just so you guys can understand that, you know, just because you have a really nice serial number on a note that is either a 20, 50, or 100, that, you know, sometimes it's not equitable for you to sell these type of notes because of the high cost of ownership to have the note. Now, this one right here, Anderson 105, the seller, actually did okay. All right, considering that it's a $50 bill, it's got a binary 9s and 0s. You can even say that this one is also a flipper, which is another great search term that you could add to your listing title. Because anything that's 0s, 6s, and 9s are considered flipper numbers, and you have specifically those 3 numbers in a serial number, you could title it as a flipper. Now, if there's a 4 in there, you can't do that because you can't take the whole serial number, flip it upside down, and have it read kind of in a similar way, because the 9s and 6s are essentially the same font, just switched over upside down. $69.09. They did charge $5.25 for shipping. This person will end up making roughly $10. It's not a whole heck of a lot of money, but considering that it introduces a really nice piece out into the marketplace, there's going to be a collector that will appreciate this, and they'll appreciate the fact that they're able to get it for just above face value, whereas this same serial number on maybe a $1, $2, or $5 bill, you know, will still end up selling for about $30, you know, maybe even higher than that, because of the type of fancy that it is. All right, so ideally, you guys, when you're out there hunting around and searching around, try and search through packs of 1s, 2s, and 5s. I would say $1 bills the best, you know, because you could search through more notes at at face value. All right, there's nothing wrong with that either. Here's a great example of a flipper. Okay, and then the seller even put in trinary. All right, so 0, 6s, and 9s. Again, you know, the 9s read as 6s, the 6s read as 9s, and when you flip the note upside down. And this is their first example today where they actually use that coolness index from mycurrencycollection.com. They put this one at 99%, which is extraordinarily high, and that's usually the case for most notes that are at the top 1% that are kind of like the legit fancy serial numbers that really do have some sort of market out there. This particular note right here, ladies and gentlemen, ended up selling for 20 bucks. Another great find. Again, the note is nothing super spectacular from a grading perspective, but again, this is something that you should have no problem reselling when you do come across it, and understand that while you're not making hundreds of dollars on one specific note like this, it's all that extra net profit that ends up going into the bucket, so to speak, and then you could turn around and buy more notes. You could buy other things. You could get into maybe other various types of different collectibles that you could resell and really broaden your eBay presence. Next one that we have here, another binary. This time we got a buttload of ones and a couple fours in there. Another consistent seller, probably top 5% on all of eBay for fancy serial number sales. $31. This one was bid up with 12 bids. Ronald does charge shipping on every single one, but you could see the serial number there. A note that I would say is probably VF20. Nothing too terribly crazy. It has shown quite a bit of wear over the years, but ultimately was saved. And resold, and even a note in this low condition still selling for $31. I mean, sure, sign me up. This is a classic case of ugly does sell. There's a collector for every type of note and grade, and this is a premium kind of example of that. Next one that we have here, another binary, two of the less desirable numbers, 4s and 5s. Also did sell for $31, 11 bids this time. And this particular note, you could tell, is as worn as the previous, has a couple kind of what looks to be stains, rust spots, or something like that. Not the greatest looking note, but again, we certainly would not toss this back if we knew that we are going to be earning this kind of money from such a note. The next one that we have here, I've talked about these. It's a very unique kind of secondary possibility. While not a fancy serial number by any means, what this person did was that they found two notes, okay, with the same serial number, essentially. The only thing different is going to be the block letters, which the top note is a CA block, the bottom is an LF block, but you can see the actual numbers that straddle the two letters are completely identical from one to the other. Another thing that's different is going to be the series date. The top note is the 2017A. The bottom one is the 2017. But again, ladies and gentlemen, you look through enough notes, you will have the opportunity to even look for things like this. I know it's kind of like a stretch because you really do have to dig down deep and really do some hunting. There might even, also be a little bit of data capture as well. You might have to do like a spreadsheet, and it would be kind of nonsensical to actually go out of your way to actually save each and every individual $1 bill that you come across just so you could try and find a duplicate serial. That could be a little bit asinine at the end of the day, but maybe this might incentivize you because this pairing right here is sold for $39. All right, that's actually a tantalizing amount of money to where you might end up wanting to do this. I don't know. It's not for everyone. It's a lot of work at the end of the day. But this is also another opportunity for someone who has that kind of dedicated time slot. Maybe you have an indispensable amount of money that you could throw at this project. But it could end up paying dividends, especially if you could earn yourself $40-50 for every pair that you do come across. And God forbid it's a star note, you're going to make a lot more money than that. The next one that we have here, another binary, this time's 1s and 7s. A couple very attractive numbers. This one, $12 as a buy it now with free shipping. Represents kind of a swing and a miss. This one probably could have made a little bit more money. Condition aside, I've seen these generally sell for about $20. You could even say free shipping. If this was priced like the $19.99 note that we saw earlier, and then just charge for a plain white envelope, this would be another great sampler that you could run that type of auction with and then do really well on. We also have this one here, our first four-digit repeater of the day, 2017A, featuring a note that says 7820 times 2, right on there. And pretty neat one. This one actually ended up selling for $15, and this seller did charge for $5 on shipping. And that's going to ensure that this particular note is going to be sent with what I suspect to be a bubble mailer, first class rate shipping. That's kind of like what $5 gets you, is that it gets you a much more premium shipping experience compared to the plain white envelope. Next one that we have here is kind of like a fringy low serial number, 9604 here. This one sold for $15, and I would say that's a fair amount of money. That's generally where I see the four-digit low serial numbers sell for, is right around $10-15. Again, you could sell this, do the plain white envelope auction. And if you come out of this making about $10, that's a good way that you could resell these, because outside of that, there's really not a ton of desirability for a four-digit low serial number. It's a heck of a lot better than a five-digit low serial number, but for what the purist collectors want, they probably want something that's a three-digit serial or lower. Here is a trinary, very neat one. It's one digit away from a true super repeater. So you got 8-6, and then you have 7 6s across the way. If that first digit was a 7, you'd be talking super repeater. You'd be talking a whole lot more money. This one right here, $8.99 buy it now hit with a 99-cent auction or shipping auction format there. So it's a plain white envelope. Again, not the best looking note, but things that are, so close but no cigar, it's end up being still a worthwhile list. This person off of this $1 bill will profit about $6. So that's not nothing, and it's not going to be a waste of your time unless, you're really looking for just the big dog $100 plus notes. So we're getting into some pretty awesome seven-of-a-kind notes. This is the roughest one out of them all. That still managed to grab $50. It's a seven-of-a-kind twos with a one little nine there in the middle. All right, but as you can see, the note is well loved. It's been around the block a few hundred times, maybe a few thousand times. A relatively new seller, $50 bill. I'd say that's good, easy money there for this one. It's the perfect representation that, again, there's going to be a collector for every type of grade. Don't dismiss it because to you, the note looks rough from an aesthetics perspective, because there were going to be buyers of this type of note. We also have this one here, seven-of-a-kind fives on a 2013. Much better condition, and because of that, this one is sold for $89.99. Much better shape. It's not as wrinkly. Probably a technical VF25 grade, which is perfectly acceptable in today's market. We also have this one here, seven-of-a-kind sevens. Zeros, ones, sevens, and eights are the top echelon of numbers. Sevens and eights primarily because of their luck factor kind of tied into it. This one here, $109.99 on the buy it now. And again, much like the previous two notes, not horrible. This one is a little bit more rough than the previous note. I'd probably put this one at a fine 12 grade, but it's the serial number, specifically the sevens, that really bumped this one up to a different price tier. We also have this one here, our one and only true binary of the day, zeros and ones on this note, 2017A. So it sold for a best offer, probably $60-65, and that's that's kind of like par for the course for a true binary of this type. Note's in really nice shape, probably VF 35 is what I put this one at. So yeah, another great one here. Again, a very, very desirable serial number type in that true binary form. We also have this one here, I believe, also from the same seller. Seven of a kind ones. All right, so this one here originally $129.99, probably sold for about a C note, $100. And again, another very, very nice looking note. This is the epitome of a collectible here. It looks to be crispy uncirculated, but it looks like it possibly could have a faint centerfold that's very soft. Um, but that's pretty neat. I like this note, one of the better ones of the day. And so here is our. It's a counterfeit fancy, but on a true, genuine $1 bill. Okay, and what ended up happening was the original serial number was chemically removed, and the serial number that you see here was applied afterwards, either through an inkjet printer or a rubber stamp, something that was created after the fact. But you could tell that this is all wrong. Number one, the the green color completely off, and you'll see that here in a second when it's compared to the green district seal on the front of this note. But also, the font style is way off on this one. That too, that you see here on the serial number, is not even remotely close to what a standard number 2 looks like. Let's see if we can look at one of these other notes here that we just looked at with a 2 in there. Like this one here. So you see the 2. So it comes around on a curve, and as it hits that kind of flat base, you have a long kind of like downward bar before it gets to that base. This particular one right here doesn't have that. All right, and not to mention that the stamping is very soft. Now here's the next picture right here. You guys see the difference in the colorization of, and this is a great example. If you look at the two, completely different. When you look at the color difference between the added serial number and the green district seal, it's way off. And not to mention that you could see remnants of the old serial number and the old embossing underneath that serial number. Yet we had a number of people actually bid this one up to $449.44, 36 bids. There's still a whole hell of a lot of education that I need to send out to the world today about fancy serial numbers, because again, if people who aren't privy to what this is are bidding 36 times on here, and I'm not going to out anyone, I'm not going to press the bids to see who's bidding, but this is something, ladies and gentlemen, that we all need to be very aware of. That this is a practice that's being done all throughout the industry. That's the very reason why that counterfeit coins exist today, wherever they be made at. This is something that is going to dupe the public. And it's for reasons like this, to grab and steal as much money from you as they possibly can. $400, $450 to be exact, is no short amount of money. Okay, that to a lot of people, that's a car payment. All right, that's groceries for a month or whatever the case may be. And it always hurts to see things like this happen, because there's going to be one of two things that's going to happen. This person is going to receive this note. They're either going to hold on to it. It's going to move beyond the standard 90-day kind of like timeline in which you could send this back because the note is counterfeit, or this person is going to send it off to a greater like PCGS banknote or PMG, and then it's going to come back in a body bag because it's been altered. So again, I just want to let you guys know that you got to know what you're looking for. You got to look at enough notes, because when you do that, you can tell the difference between one and the other. Okay, this is an incredibly egregious counterfeit serial number on here. And in a way, it is kind of a federal offense when you go out of your way to modify a note of this fashion. And it's not cool. All right, and as the collector community, of these type of notes, and for the people at large that go out of their way to find these notes by searching through many thousands of dollars in bank straps, that they don't want this particular segment of numismatics to have kind of a black eye because of things like this. So we just got to be more cognizant. We have to be more aware, drive awareness to our peers that are looking for these notes as well, that this is something that exists. All right. So that's going to go ahead and wrap things up for this one. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I will be at the Northeast Oklahoma Coin Show for the better part of the next few days in Tulsa at the Marriott Spring Hill Suites. There is a convention center here where this is all happening. Hope to see a few of you there. Keep on collecting, my friends. Have fun in this hobby. And I will see you guys on the next coin video, or paper money video for that matter. And I'll see you guys later.